Ashleigh, I could not take my eyes off of Brian Walshe a moment ago as he coldly stared at this prosecutor going through the evidence they have against him. Let's go through what we know at this hour and what we learned in court.
So I couldn't take my eyes off him either, and then noticed at one point he was staring at me, Marni. It was a bit of a chill hearing the details of what the prosecutors allege he did to his wife, Anna Walshe. I also couldn't write fast enough. That's how many details were unloaded in this court hearing this morning in the courthouse behind me here in Quincy, Massachusetts. So, Marni, one of the, I think, most telling issues is that they found Anna Walshe's DNA and Brian Walshe's DNA on items like the Tyvek suit. It's on camera at the Home Depot being purchased by Brian. It's then actually retrieved from dumpsters and then tested. Anna Walshe's blood, Brian Walshe's DNA, not just on the outside of the Tyvek suit, on the inside, like on the inside of the wrist. So some of those very specific details I was learning for, because those are the things that a prosecutor is going to have to do to close that gap between, well, you don't have a body, you don't have him on video killing, how do you know it's him? So for reasonable doubt, that's the kind of stuff that really helps. Then I have to tell you a few of the things, and you're going to have to excuse me, I'm going to read these notes. They're a bit of a mess, but along with the charge of murder, there was also the disinterring of a body. I'm going to work through this one because I don't think for a minute that anyone thinks he dug up the body of Anna Walshe, but there may be some nuances to that charge, meaning she might have been in a trash bag, and pardon me for the macabre details here, but she might have been in pieces in a trash bag and moved about from certain resting places. I'm going to look into it when I have a moment to sort of dig into that charge. But also her dress and her black jacket and her boots were found in these remains with her blood on it. Not only that, but one of the necklaces that prosecutors say she was wearing in some of the Instagram photos that we've all been, becoming accustomed to seeing as the only thing that can bring her to life now, Marni. That was very disturbing to hear that in court. Some of the iPad searches, how long before a body starts to smell? These were done at like 4 or 5 in the morning on January 1st. 10 ways to dispose of a dead body. How long will DNA last? Can you throw away body parts, how to clean blood off a floor, details about dismemberment, body parts in ammonia. Is it better to throw clothes away or is it better to wash them? Is the hacksaw the best tool to dismember a body? Can you be charged with murder without a body? Can you ID a body with broken teeth? Let me see what else I have here. Also, the issues of Abington and Brockton. We brought that up on our program last night, Marni. And the curiosity was his cell phone pinged there on January 1st when he said he was visiting his mom, forgot to take his phone with him, said he couldn't find it. So we don't have, like, his phone GPS, but we do have his phone pinging in Abington and Brockton, even though he said he did have his phone with him. So the curiosity of Abington and Brockton was sort of revealed here in court this morning. Prosecutors said that there were several dumpsters at apartment complexes in Abington and Brockton, those two communities that are southwest of Cohasset, where he lived, right, where he and Anna lived. But his mother is almost due north and east, so he wasn't headed to his mother's if he was headed to Abington and Brockton. And they said that the trash facilities there incinerated, likely, the trash bags that he was seen carrying to dumpsters outside of a few apartment buildings in Abington and Brockton. And then there was this detail. Trash bags that he was seen hauling, and that they were so heavy, he was leaning under their weight before he threw them in the dumpsters. The sad part of this, Marni, especially since we don't have a body in this murder case, is that they said that those dumpsters were processed and likely incinerated, so that will likely never come to pass. We will likely never see any of those actual pieces of evidence. But I'm sorry if I've sort of been, verbal logorrhea here, but it was a lot of details all very quickly, and I don't even think I'm a quarter of the way through them.
No. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider, and don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.